staring down the barrel of two avoidable Republican-manufactured disasters, a government shutdown and a first-ever default in the national debt. The impacts of both would gravely harm every single American in this country. After 4 years of bipartisan votes to suspend the debt limit under President Trump, Senate Republicans lost the majority, and now they're pushing the country to the first default in its history, all for a political stunt, a political game for political gain. Last night, the Senate had an opportunity to begin solving these problems right away. Every Democrat did his or her part, and we all voted yes. Republicans blocked legislation to avert a default and a shutdown. Plain and simple, there's no way to get around it. Republicans blocked legislation to avert a default and a shutdown. In our lunch, it was clear that my caucus will not stand for the irresponsible and dishonest Republican default plan. Going through reconciliation is risky to the country and is a non-starter. Now, there's an easy way to stave off Republican-induced disaster. Last night and this morning, the Republican leader, and he's done this before as well, but last night and this morning the Republican leader cited an example in the 2000s which Republicans held unified control of the government and provided votes to increase the debt limit. He said, see, we did it then, they do it now. The Republican leader said the example was exactly the situation we're in now. What the leader conveniently left out is that back then there was a consent agreement requested by the Republicans that cleared the path for the Senate to vote to increase the debt limit at a majority threshold with only one party, allowing the minority party to vote no, but also preventing a catastrophic default. Let me be clear. I still believe that addressing the debt limit, which includes debts incurred by both parties, should be done in a bipartisan way. But let's see if Leader McConnell truly wants what he has been asking for, the Democrats to pass it with 50 votes. I am making a UC on the floor that will do just that, no more, no less. So the idea that we can't get Republican votes, so be it. All he has to do, all the Republicans have to do, is agree to our UC, and we can get it done with Republican votes, which is with Democratic votes only, which is just what they've been asking for months. Republicans said they want to get it done with only Democratic votes. Democrats are ready to do it. Let's have that vote today. It's exactly what Senate Republicans have been demanding. It's a straightforward proposition. If Republicans really want to see the debt ceiling raised without providing a single vote, I'm prepared to hold that vote. Leader McConnell today acknowledged addressing the debt limit is an urgent matter, but it's his party that's standing in the way of a quick resolution. This could get done today. If Republicans continue to stand in the way, they will force the country into default for the first time in history, and it will be the American people who pay the price. What we're offering is a reasonable solution. We're not asking Republicans to vote with us. They can all vote no. So let's have the vote, and let's get this done. Senator Durbin. Is this mine? No? Okay.
You've heard the argument. Democrats control the White House. They control the House of Representatives and the Senate. Why don't they just do what they were elected to do and extend the debt ceiling? Well, if you have never been to Washington, D.C. or set foot in the Capitol, you might make that argument. But those of you who've been here 15 minutes, remember there's a word called filibuster. Filibuster. What's driving this whole debate is the requirement by the Republicans that we produce 60 votes for the debt ceiling. As Senator Schumer has said throughout history, we've relied on a majority vote, and that was considered to be fair and just. And what he's proposing again on the floor of the Senate is to return to that standard that's been used over and over again. So if Senator McConnell wants to change the rules and require the filibuster, then it is no longer the Democrats' responsibility for what happened. It is his design, his strategy that is resulting in this. And I will just tell you, whether the Republicans want to vote for this debt ceiling or not, the fact of the matter is this debt ceiling reflects the largest increase in the federal deficit in the history of the United States during the 4 years of Donald Trump, supported all the way by Senator McConnell and the Republican senators. They want to walk away from it and claim that they're fiscally conservative. We know better.
You know, Democrats are actually trying to do the job that our families sent us here to do. And we are giving Republicans one more chance to decide whether they want to join us or to keep prioritizing political games, even at the expense of our economy, even if it costs people jobs, even if it undermines the financial security of everyone in the country. Look, people send us here to fight for them. They want us to work to make things better. They want us to make health care and child care and a quality education easier to get. They want to make sure they can get a job with a fair paycheck and a safe workplace and a secure retirement. They want us to make sure that the roads and the bridges are safe and to make sure the trains and ferries run on time, to make sure they have a roof over their head. They want us to provide a fair path to citizenship for immigrants in the country, and they want us to support the Afghan families and refugees seeking a brighter future here. They want us to respond to crises like pandemics and hurricanes and economic disasters and climate change with bold action. That is not a political agenda. That's the job. That's the basics. That's the marching orders the Senate got loud and clear from families across the country in the last election. Now, no one expects everyone to agree all the time, but at the end of the day, people do expect us to try and make progress and get things done and not stand in the way. Between the work Democrats have been doing to pass the Build Back Better plan and the work we are doing to avoid a shutdown and a default and Republican-caused economic catastrophe, I think the record right now shows pretty clearly which party is here to fight for our economy, for our workers, for our families, and not just here to score political points. Which party is here trying to solve the problem, which is trying to cause the problems. Republicans have one more chance. We are going to have a unanimous consent request here shortly where they will have to decide whether they are truly unwilling to lift a finger to help families and avoid an economic disaster. I hope that's not the case, but if it is, Democrats are not going to give up. We're just going to keep working harder. Our nation cannot afford inaction. Thank you.
Senator Stabenow.
Good afternoon. Let me just stress one more time that last night the Republicans voted to shut down the government. They voted to default on our debt, which would raise costs for every American. And I should mention, this is a debt that already happened. It doesn't matter how much they go to the floor and talk about its Build Back Better budget or all the other things. This is for spending that we came together on for 18 months, going back on the pandemic, Democrats, Republicans voting together to be able to do what needed to be done, including the spending bill last December. And now it's time to pay the bill from that. And Mitch McConnell says, no, sorry, we're no longer in the majority, so we don't want to step up and pay for the bills that we already voted for. So the Republican no last night also meant other really important things, helping American communities and families hit by Hurricane Ida and other extreme weather events. And by voting for default, which they say they're going to continue to do, Republicans are voting for the stock market to plunge, wiping out savings that seniors are counting on to retire. They voted for that same thing when we look at seniors. They'll get a double whammy if their Social Security checks don't go out. Republicans voted by voting for default for small businesses to face higher interest rates and families to potentially see their dreams of a home or a new car become more expensive. I mean, that's just the reality of what they did. And they voted for paychecks to be delayed for members of our military who spent the past 20 years fighting for wars all over the world to keep us safe. So much for standing up for the troops. So the reality is this. We're standing here because we, as 50 Democrats, are willing to step up and be responsible. We're willing to be the grown-ups and get this done. We've just got to make sure that Mitch McConnell does not play politics on all of this and create a situation where, in fact, this default happens for Americans. So, Mitch, just step aside. Democrats will get this done.
Okay, questions?
Leader
Yeah, we'll go to you.
Reconciliation, can you move forward without knowing a top-line number? How can you know where you're going when you don't know where you're trying to end up?
Well, I think there's a real effort to come up with a top-line number. The President has met with Senator Sinema, and those negotiations continue. The President, I think, while we're here, is meeting with Senator Manchin, and we're trying to come to a top-line number. Yes, go ahead, Manu.
You stood with Speaker Pelosi on the initial strategy to wait until the reconciliation bill was passed before acting on infrastructure in the House. Now that she has reversed course, do you support her strategy?
Look, the bottom line is I think we certainly in the Senate believe in a two-track process. I believe Speaker Pelosi believes in a two-track process as well. Yes.
Given Republican objections and resistance to raising the debt limit in a bipartisan way, does it alter your thinking about the filibuster and whether that needs to be reassessed
Look,
or kept in place?
we've given the Republicans just what they asked for, just what they've asked for, and that's what we hope to get done. As I said, going through the long, convoluted, difficult reconciliation process with debt limit is very, very risky. We're not pursuing that. This is what they asked for. This is what they're giving them. You would ask them, now what do they do? The onus is on them now that we've given them what they asked for. Red dress. Very soon. I think very soon we will put down a bill to deal with the shutdown and move forward. Yes. We're doing everything we can to avoid a shutdown, and we should put something on the floor. We hope our Republican friends will join with us in that. Who knows with them? They are so playing games with the American people, political, nasty, and destructive games. Yes.
Why don't Democrats abolish the debt limit or raise it to such a level that it becomes effectively obsolete?
Look, as I said, our solution is right here. We want to get this done and get it done quickly without risk. The reconciliation process with debt limit goes back and forth. It ping-pongs between the House and Senate. It's 2 or 3 times. It's not just adding on one amendment. This is the solution. We're asking Republicans to support it. Their proposal is risky. We're not doing it. Thank you, everybody.
Will the CR be clean, Senator Schumer?